What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great week so far. Today is Wednesday. I might be posting it Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. What kind of happens. I just uploaded the 3 videos I made previously to YouTube. So go follow me, just Graydon Bulig, and then I'll obviously post this one on Instagram and YouTube. I might have to split this one up a little bit for Instagram purposes, but other than that, it'll all be on YouTube, so you can go check those out there. I'll also be kind of releasing just audio on another, not necessarily podcast, but just kind of audio in case you can't watch the video and you'd like to listen to it still. So, going to be several ways to listen and watch these videos. So yeah, let's get into it. I didn't read yesterday. I'm gonna try and start every video with some honesty. Um, just didn't, no excuse. Got to be better. So started today after I did my schoolwork. Read Mark and John, both chapter 8. Obviously, I'm going through both those books simultaneously right now, and it's just something I've been wanting to do for a little while. So we're gonna continue with that. So Mark chapter 8 is where I'm gonna start, and I'm at Mark chapter 8 at the end of verse 27 and then through 30. And then I think, okay. And then I'm going to be in Mark chapter 8, obviously, verses 38. And that's where I'll stop for Mark, and then I'll be in John. I'll jump to John towards the end of this video. But for right now, so Mark chapter 8, this part is where the little subtitle of the passage is Peter confesses Jesus as the Christ. So at the end of 27, it starts, or it ends with, "Who do people say that I am?" And that's Jesus talking. He asked his disciples, "Who do people say that I am?" And they told him, "John the Baptist, and others say Elijah, and others say one of the prophets." And then Jesus asks, obviously, the hard-hitting question, which Jesus does numerous times throughout his ministry. "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter answered him, "You are the Christ." And he strictly charged them not to tell anyone. And that's kind of for a different video. It wasn't Jesus' time yet, so he didn't want his disciples going around telling everybody. But he wanted them proclaiming that God was the one true God, and that you didn't have to follow these rules. And again, that's for another time. The 10 Commandments obviously were the ones you got to follow, but again, for another time. So right now, talking about Jesus, or Peter confessing Jesus as Christ, and that's literally our main goal. Is after we are saved, Jesus gives us the great, oh man, I can't think of it. Our mission is to go out and tell people about Jesus, tell people about the Christ, and that was what Peter was doing. Peter was confessing that he was it. He was the Lord, and that is our main goal as Christians, is to go bring as many people to Him as possible. We just get them started. God does the rest of the work in their heart and in their soul and in their mind. So that is our main goal, and Peter basically justifies and solidifies that. That's a better word, solidifies. But there's another part in Mark chapter 8 talking about being ashamed of the gospel. And Jesus says in verse 38, "For whoever is ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him will the Son of Man also be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." That's pretty powerful stuff. Basically saying, don't be ashamed of me. If you're ashamed of me, then I'm going to be ashamed of you. Then why would I vouch for you, basically, when I come back? And that's if there's always the picture of persecution in China, and the government cracking down, and secret churches and all that kind of stuff. The real question is, if you were pushed, if you were oppressed, if you had per se a gun against your head, would you confess that you knew Jesus? If they told you, if you believe in Him, you're gonna die, would you still say, yes, I believe in Him? And that's every day we are asked that question. Not to that extent, obviously, especially here in America, but that is something we have to ask ourselves every single day. Are we doing everything we possibly can to proclaim the good news, to proclaim that Jesus is Lord and that God will save you? And a lot of times we don't. And that kind of leads us into John chapter 8. And again, I don't mean to scare you. I'm just trying to put the word out there. But that's something we have to do as Christians every single day. Take up our cross and, not be ashamed of the gospel, and don't be ashamed of Jesus' name. And when you're not, man, it's a great feeling. It's a really good feeling. So, continue to push to do that every single day. And now, again, we jump to, John chapter 8. And it talks about the woman caught in adultery who's brought to Jesus in the temple, where Jesus is preaching. And they throw her down in the middle of everybody to humiliate her, to basically say, look, she committed a terrible sin. She's an adulterer. She's not good. She's sinned. And Jesus hits him with, in John chapter 8, verse 7. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. Back in the day, back in Jesus' time, when you committed adultery, a woman committed adultery, she was stoned to death. And that's pretty brutal. So Jesus hits him with, if you have never sinned, throw a stone. And everybody kind of like, I can just imagine the silence had to be so loud. Like, have you ever been in a quiet room and you just hear this pounding and ringing in your head because it's so quiet? I can guarantee you that was so loud. And the silence was just screaming at them. And because, no one could say they've never sinned. Because if you say you've never sinned, then you sinned because you lied. And once more, he bent down and wrote on the ground, being Jesus, letting everybody soak in what he just said. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Verse 10 says, Jesus stood up and said to her, woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? Jesus said, no one, Lord. Or she said, no one, Lord. And Jesus said, neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, sin no more. That's pretty powerful, man. I know I say that powerful a lot, but God's pretty powerful. Jesus is pretty powerful. Those words, those of you who have not sinned, throw the first stone. Like, come on, man. Jesus knew no one was going to throw a stone after that. And I think that's just the greatness of our God, the strength of our God. Sometimes we forget that God's powerful. Sometimes we forget that he's, a judge, and that God is the ultimate judge. And, it's not our place. It's not our place to judge. And I think there's a part in John 8, verse 34 through 35. It says, Jesus answered them, truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The son remains forever. And kind of give you context, the Jews the Jews who believed in him said, if you believe in my word, talking about God, Jesus said this to the Jews, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Well, they were like, we've never been a slave to anybody. We weren't the Hebrews of old when they were slaves to Egypt. Like, we've never been enslaved. So what do you mean, how can we be free if we've never been enslaved? Well, Jesus is talking about, obviously, sin. You're a slave to sin. You wake up every day and you sin. And that's, hard for people to get. That's hard for people to understand. And once you have Jesus in your life, he takes all of that, chains, all the chains from sin away. But until then, you're a slave. And that's it, man. Until you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and you believe in your heart, you're a slave to sin. And until you commit your life to God. And it's hard. You got to do it every single day. It's not easy. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy. And no one's perfect. No one's ever done it. Even, the saints of the Bible. Paul, Peter. Paul, before he became Paul, he was Saul. He was killing Christians. Literally just going from town to town, state to state, or country to country, I guess back then, just annihilating Christians. And he's one of the saints now. Like, he's in heaven. That's crazy to me. That is insane. And it just shows you how much God loves you and how much God wants to be in your life. So, again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Again, I'll be posting these to Instagram, to YouTube. I'll be sharing them on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. If you guys want me to go live sometime, that'll be great. Just let me know. I'll have to figure out my schedule and everything and let you all know. But let me know if these are helping. If not, tell me what you'd like to hear. I'm open to many ideas. If not, I'm just gonna continue to kind of tell you what I get out of everything I read. And again, it won't be every single day, obviously, but I'm gonna try and read every single day and get back with you guys, give you some more content. So go subscribe to my YouTube channel. I used to make fun of people saying that, so making fun of myself, laughing at myself now. So go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go follow my page on Instagram. If you guys want me to create my own page on Instagram just for this stuff, I will. So yeah, hopefully you guys get something out of this, and I'll let you know when those videos are uploaded. So well, I guess we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.